Hey there, I'm Alan Matthews from Classical Guitar Shed, and in this video we'll be looking at the B7 chord. All about it, more than you could ever possibly want to know about the B7 chord. If you enjoy this, please subscribe to this channel and also click the bell for the notifications. Okay, this B7 chord. To look at this chord, let's first look at this grid over here. So in case you don't know how to read a grid, then the lines that go up and down are the strings. They represent strings from low to high, left to right. The frets are represented by the side to side lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, the horizontal lines, and then up above we have X's and O's representing don't play for the X or play with no fingers on the string for the O's. So for this one, we also have these dots and with the finger numbers in them. So we don't play that low E string, low 6th string, second finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and then the first finger on the 4th string, 1st fret, third finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then open 2nd, and then the pinky comes in at the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So I just want to point something out. If you know a D7 chord, then you can just move that over 2 strings, and then add your pinky up on top, add your little finger up on top, and that's the chord. So instead of thinking of this as a completely new chord, if you know a D7, then just think of it as moving that D7 over 2 strings, up in space, 2 strings, as a group, boom, 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 and then adding that second finger, or I'm sorry, adding that 4th finger over there on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And don't play that low E, because if you do, it's gonna be foul. Boo. So, a couple of things to note as you're playing this chord. First off is, notice my arm shape right here. It's in a nice hook around. I'm hooking around like I'm playing around a buddy here. And the reason being is because we have 3 notes that are on the same fret. They're all on the 2nd fret. And whenever we have more than one finger on the same fret, we need to come in at an angle like this. And so we want to come around and come into the strings like this. However, we want to avoid extreme angles in our wrist like this. We don't want to tuck our elbow and then try to come into it like this. That's not going to be good. That's we don't want to do that. It's the way that you're going to do it if your neck is too low. So get your neck up even a little bit will make it much easier. The goal here is to keep the fingers behind the forearm so that we have this whole unit that's very strong and very safe. We could play for decades and decades and never get repetitive stress injuries or pain and soreness and all that beyond just muscle soreness from practicing so hard. So we want to keep those. We want to keep a nice C shape in the hand. So that means that the thumb stays behind the fingers. It never goes on this side of the fingers. If it does, then this part of the hand ends up touching the back of the neck, and that's a big no-no. So we don't want to do that either. So last no-no is to crook our left-hand thumb in this way and put it on the back like that. We don't want to do that. We want to press it so that the meat of our finger is on the back behind the 2nd or 3rd, in between the 2nd and 1st strings there. And so that way we have this nice, if I just took this off and showed you, it's a really nice, the fingers are curved, there's no extreme crimping or extension in any of the fingers. So it's just, they're all nice and curved like this. So it can be a very comfortable chord if we practice it in this way. So as you practice it then, think about these as all these different steps and just go one at a time. Let your elbow be free away from your body. So don't tense up your shoulder and lock it in there, but do that. Come in at an angle, but not so that your wrist is all crazy. And then we'll play. We need a nice tunnel for that 2nd string. So we want to come in fairly straight onto the strings with each finger. So that way we keep all of them ringing, but without muting the next string over. So if we play this too flat, it's gonna be ugly. And so instead, we want to keep those fingers right up by the frets, not too far back here. It's going to be buzzy. So right behind the frets and coming straight down into the string so that we have nice tunnels. So as we're practicing this with any new chord, one of the best ways is to shake it out, bring your finger up, and touch the strings, but don't actually press. And then do it again. Nice and easy peasy. No pressure on the strings. You're just touching right behind the frets. You're just taking a look and you're just going back and forth and back and forth. And this will very quickly teach you to get in that position, but without creating a bunch of stress and a bunch of clenching and tight muscles. So instead, we can just keep it really nice and loose. Touch the strings, but don't press. Next, we can touch, then press. Next, touch, then press. Next, touch, then press. Then touch, press, play. Touch, press, play. Touch, press, play. Touch, press, play. And so then that can really teach you, it can teach your musculature that it's nice and easy to get into this chord. There's nothing to get all worked up about. Whereas if you don't do that, a new chord can sometimes, we can work in a lot of excess tension into the learning of it. Anything that we learn that's brand new seems hard. And whenever it's hard, we can tense up. And so eventually it'll be easy, but we'll still have that habitual tension. And so what we can do then is practice it so that it's easy. And so then that's the whole point of this. We can also practice this chord moving between this chord and the other chords that it's frequently played with. Most noticeably the E chords, E major, E minor, and E7. And so with all of those, all three of those fingerings, the second finger of the E chord is on the second fret of the fifth string, and that is also on for the B7. So that can be our anchor finger. So we can just notice if we're going from E major, we're going to slightly, we don't have to, I guess, but we can, there'll be a slight change in hand position just to get that first finger comfortably back and forth like this. And so we could just do it just with the finger. Like we can play it with no movement, but it's just easier to put just a little bit in there. If we look at the optimal position for an E, to where it's just absolutely the least amount of effort, and an optimal position for the B7, they're just a little bit different. And so we can go back and forth. Same thing with the B7 and the E minor. We don't need that because the first finger is not involved. And so just the third finger bounces forward. So going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the same thing with the E7. So those are going to be the most common. You might find it with some other chords, maybe with A7 or A major and A minor. So those, your A chords, basically. You can also find the B7 chord. So practice also with the A chord. Now, if you play your A chord with 2, 3, 4, your third finger is staying in the exact same place. And then this second and fourth finger are going just inside one string. And so that's an interesting thing to practice, just to look at it. It's pretty fun. And so then just look at what's changing. What stays the same and what changes is always a great question to ask when changing between chords. Is there anything that stays the same? Is there anything that stays on the same string or even on the same note? And then with A minor, same thing. There it is. So going back and forth between the A minor, the A, and then the A7 as well. But you'll use the A7 less. All right, those are the most common. And so go forth, practice some B7, shake it out. Don't put too much stress in it. Remember, it's just a D7 moved over a couple of strings with the little finger added on the top. All right, hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to this channel and best of luck in all of your playing. See you soon.